Good morning.
Good morning.
Just at this time, we're going to go to just the Lord in prayer. Dear God, we just come to you right now, God. We just thank you so much for your spirit we felt in this place this morning, God. We just thank you so much for who you are and what you've done, Jesus. And I just ask you right now, God, just to let me just hide behind the cross, Jesus, and just let your word come forth, God, the way that you would have it said, God. And I just ask that you just prepare the hearts of your people, God, to receive your word, Jesus. And I just ask that you just continue to let your spirit fall in this house, God. And just if there be any need this morning, God, I just pray that you take care of it right now in the name of Jesus. Amen. So this morning, I don't really have a set scripture per se, but we're kind of be jumping around a little bit. But we're going to start in Romans chapter 8, around verse 15, if y'all want to flip over there with me. If I had to title this message this morning, it would be Faith or Fear. So, in Romans chapter 8 and verse 15 says, "For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father." And whenever I begin to study and to ponder on this verse, God led me to read it in another version, which is the NIV, so y'all just bear with me for a second. It says, "The spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship, and by him we cry, Abba, Father." And I like how in this version it says, "The spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again." And I just began to study and ponder on that, and God brought back into my mind this phrase that He'd given me last week. And that phrase was something that really kind of, one of those ouch kind of moments for me, is like, what am I really thinking? So it kind of changed the way I was thinking. And that phrase was, there is no faith in fear. Likewise, there is no fear in faith. And like I said, whenever God gave that to me, it was one of those ouch moments, and I had to look back over my life and where my life is going now and ask that question, do I have faith or do I have fear? And so we're going to kind of break that statement down this morning, and kind of how we're going to start. I have a question. This is, what is fear? And according to Old Webster's dictionary, it says that fear is to be afraid or to expect or to worry about. It also can be an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, or a situation that could cause pain or hurt. Which, if you think about it, this is where Satan wants us our entire lives. He does not want us to get past that fear that's holding us back from whatever we're called to do. Satan wants us to think that whatever situation we're being called out of or being called into is going to hurt us in some way, or is going to change us in some way. He wants us to live in that fear. He wants us to stay fearful, because once we're afraid, then we're not going to move. So when I just, like I said, began to ponder and study upon it, and God gave me three things that causes our fear. For one of those things, it could be our past. And I know for me, that's a big one for me, because just like any other testimony, I ran from God for the longest time and was doing stuff that I didn't need to be doing. So whenever I start thinking of things that God's trying to call me into, the Satan automatically brings up my past, and he's like, you're not good enough to do this, or this thing that God's trying to deliver you from is not set, it's not complete, you're still addicted to that, or doing this or doing that. And so Satan tries to bring up our past. That's one of the biggest things, I think, that causes our fear. And we also think back to moments when we tried and we failed because we depended on ourselves and we didn't depend on God. And I think that's two of the biggest things right there that causes fear. And another thing that causes fear is going into something that we have absolutely no idea about. And And that's kind of a big one for me, especially being called into ministry, because I've been around, the Southern Baptist preachers my whole life, so I kind of had an idea, but like I said, from looking at my past, that fear begins to arise, and I'm going into something I have no idea what to do or how to do it. And so Satan really throws that in my head too, especially whenever I'm called to preach or to do this or that. He starts bringing that back into my mind, like, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no clue. And so these are things for me that comes into my life. And the third one is something that causes fear, is breaking tradition. And that doesn't just mean like the songs we sing or the names that we call God or anything like that. What God kind of showed me more into that was when we break tradition, it's the cycle that we're used to. Whether, like I said, not just a song or not just a name for God, but the tradition of living in that sin, or the tradition of just trying to get through the week, or the tradition of thinking you're not good enough. It's not exactly tradition. It's more of a cycle that we get caught in, that Satan wants us to be in, which causes that fear. Because that's a lot where we get caught up. We get caught up into that cycle. And that leads me to the next set of scripture that I've got here, and it's going to be in Exodus chapter 4. If you all like to flip with me. And here we see probably what I would call one of the greatest men of the Bible here. It talks about Moses. And this is whenever he was first being called to go back into Egypt and to lead God's people out of bondage. And it's what I like here is because it's in Exodus 4, it would be verses 10 through 12. We see that Moses argues his point of fear. He basically tells God that he can't go do this because he has a speech impediment. And so we'll jump into that real quick. It says, in verse 10, it says, "And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say." So I like what God did here. Moses tries to bring up this silly little thing that's keeping him from going to pull God's people out of bondage. And God's just like, Moses, chill. I got your back. I'm gonna give you the words to say. You just got to be willing to go. Which is where the faith part of the message comes in. We got to be willing to go. We got to be willing to take that leap of faith and to trust God. But we see, like I said, I kind of see Moses as one of those great men in the Bible. Like, this man just had it going on. But just to know that he also had a struggle with fear kind of helps me out, because just knowing that he was that great and just seeing the things that God done for him, even though he was afraid, just knowing that God had Moses' back is just kind of a comfort to me, knowing that God's got us no matter what we go to do. And so we see that Moses had fear because of his lack of skills, and like we said, we see God saying, I got your back. And then on the other hand, we have the Israelites who was in the bondage. And I got to research and I got to looking around, and it said that Israel had been in bondage to Egypt for around about 210 years. And I got to thinking about that, just seeing how my past was and how long I was in bondage and how much I had Satan bring that back and forth over me over the years. 210 years seems like a long time. And they were tormented. They had to do hard labor, and it was just a bad time for the Israelites, and that's exactly where Satan wanted them, was in bondage in Egypt. And like I'd said before, that's where Satan wants us a lot of time, is the bondage to fear. He doesn't want us to move out of that fear, because it's going to defeat him in the end if we move out of that fear. But if he can keep us in that place of fear like he did for the Israelites for 210 years, then that's defeating us, and that's defeating what we could be doing for God. And we see that, we know that whenever Moses went and the plagues and everything happened, and Pharaoh finally let all of the people go, and so they're running, and they get up to the Red Sea, and they're facing this big sea, and then they see Pharaoh and all his people coming from the other side, and they get to this place of fear, just like Moses did whenever he's being called to take them out of the bondage. So if y'all would flip with me to Exodus 14, also verses 10 through 12. It says, "And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? It is not this word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians. For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the wilderness." So they got to this moment of fear where they saw both obstacles. They saw the Red Sea, and they had Pharaoh and the bondage that they was being caught out of coming right back, nipping at their heels. And so they was basically saying, is it not better for us just to die in Egypt than it would be for us to die in the wilderness? And so whenever I was talking about that cycle of tradition, the 210 years of bondage that they was used to, they didn't feel the need that they needed to be caught out of that. Whenever they came against opposition, whenever they was trying whenever Moses was leading them out of it, they just decided they wanted to go back. And if you think about it, during that 210 years, I'd say there was a lot of people that was born into their bondage. There's a lot of people that died in their bondage. And so I would say it's pretty safe to say that they got pretty comfortable in their bondage. And I think that's, for me, that's where I got to a lot of the times, was I was just comfortable living in sin, but I would go to church on Sunday, think I get it taken care of, and then go back out and I'd live like the world again. So I was caught in that cycle of being comfortable in my bondage, thinking that everything was okay whenever it really wasn't. But just thank Him that He called me out of that. But in verses 13 and 14, we see that God, just like He did with Moses, reassures Israel through Moses. So in verses 13 and 14 it says, "And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which He shall show to you this day. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace." And so God is sending this word through Moses to give comfort to the Israelites that the situation they was in, knowing that it was this big, like they had the Red Sea, they had the old addiction to bondage and everything. They was kind of caught in the middle, and they got to the point where they was afraid. So God, seeing that they were afraid, sends comfort through Moses. And I got to praise God for that too, because so many times whenever we're in that spot, whenever we're facing between a rock and a hard spot, for lack of a better word, whenever we get caught in those moments of fear, that God always sends comfort to us. And that's just something that I think is just, we don't deserve, but that's part of God's gift to us, is that comfort and the Holy Spirit. And so we see here that both Israel and Moses had to put their faith and trust in Jesus on the line. They had to pretty much take a blind leap, because if they didn't, then it was death on either side. And God was calling them to step out, but at the same time He was saying, if you step out, I've got your back. So we have that comfort knowing that whenever God asks us to do something, He's going to be there for us. And this also reminds me of a story that I heard earlier this week on K-Love. I'm sure y'all heard of that station. There was this woman, and she was on there talking about her family. And what she was saying was that her husband and her kids would play this game where the husband would sit on the floor beside the bed, and the kids would be on top of the bed. And the husband, the dad, would call out to his kids, and he would tell them to jump. But he would tell them to jump, but he would also say, I've got you. I'm going to catch you whenever you fall off the bed. So it's this fun little game that they was playing, but she noticed that at first the kids would go right up to the edge but would never jump fully off the bed. They would just look down, then they'd back up, and then they'd get scared, and then they just kept going on and on. But the dad kept telling them each time, I'll catch you. If you, once you go to fall, I'm asking you to do this, but I'm going to be there to catch you. So finally, one of the kids kind of mustered up enough faith and trust in their dad that he said that he was going to do what he said he was going to do, and so they jumped off the bed. So what do you think happens then? Do you think the dad just steps out of the way and just lets the kid plop right there on the ground, bust their head, get a big goose egg? No. The dad did exactly what he said he was going to do, and whenever the kid jumped off the bed, the dad caught the kid. And then there was laughter, and there was fun. There was more trust between the kid and the parent. And so that grew their relationship, and it grew the kids' confidence and the faith in their dad that each time that they would jump, that they could trust him to be there. And I'm not just talking about that game. I'm talking about that's the way it is in real life. That's the way it is for us. That's what God's calling us to do. He's calling us to, whether it be to maybe get saved, or if it's calling us into something like a ministry, or just something He's having us to do, or if He's calling us out of like that traditional cycle like we talked about earlier, God just wants us to take that leap of faith. Because He's got us each and every time that we go to do that. Each and every time He's calling us out, He wants us to strengthen our relationship with Him and strengthen our time with Him by Him catching us whenever we do the things He asks us to do. And so, if y'all would, turn with me to Hebrews chapter 11. We're going to read verses 23 through 35. Someone's taking Hebrews out of my Bible. There it is. Okay. And here we see, again with Moses, it says, by faith, Moses, when he was born, he hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of the blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians essaying to do were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. And what shall I more say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, and of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, and David also, and Samuel of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to fight the armies of the aliens. Women received the dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance that might obtain a better resurrection. So we see here, and this is just a little excerpt of what the Bible is full of, talking about faith. And the stories that God gives us of people taking that leap of faith and God blessing them in the end and bringing them out of so many different things like we see here. And we go back to that verse in Romans 8, that also says, the Spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by Him we cry, Abba, Father. And I especially like the way that puts that, because when we get in those times of trouble and we get in those places where our faith kind of seems thin and God's calling us to do something, all we have to do is call upon His name and He gives us strength. just like Moses did and just like the Israelites did and just like those kids did on the bed. They called out to the dad, and the dad said, I'm going to catch you. That's exactly what God's saying. Whether I'm calling you out to do this or I'm calling you out to do that, or even if He's calling you to commit your life to Him, if you haven't done that this morning, then He's saying all you have to do is cry out to me and I will comfort you. I will give you what you need. I will give you that strength and I will fill you up with that faith. And we just got to, each time we're asked to do something or each time we step out on faith, it strengthens our relationship with Him. Therefore making our faith stronger and something that we can see. Our faith is no longer just a word. I feel like our faith kind of becomes tangible. Whenever we build that strength and we build that trust in Him, we start seeing the things that He does for us. Therefore, it makes us love Him more. And it builds that relationship with God. And so, I can stand here and I can say boldly that if we step out on faith, that God He will not let us fall. That whatever the situation is, He's already got it worked out on His end. All we have to do is to jump and just to trust Him, because He will catch us. He will catch us. I can stand here and I can say that 100% for sure. He will catch you if you step out on faith. And so, what I'm going to leave you guys with this morning is, will you choose to be in bondage to fear, or will you choose the freedom that faith offers? And so